All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our Working as a Nursing Student panel. We have Career Services today, Mira, here with us to give us a presentation on what Career Services can do for us and can offer all sorts of things to help you guys with resumes, applying for jobs, networking, and all sorts of things in that area. And then afterwards, we have a panel of master's students who are working while they're going to school. And so we can pick their brains a little bit and see what that's like to work as a student, because it's a lot to juggle. Nursing school is difficult as it is. And so we can get some advice there. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So Mira, you should be able to share your screen at this point, and then we'd like to see your presentation.
Let me try that again. Okay. So as Bianca said, my name is Mira. I'm the program coordinator for clinical and career services at the School of Nursing. And some of the services we offer are resume reviews, cover letter reviews, mock interviews, and we're able to answer general career questions. And we're more than happy. Allison Wall, she's our assistant director for career services and career and recruitment services. More than happy to help you guys as much as we can. Some of the things we do for you guys, we invite employers for information sessions. I know some of you attended some of those that we've already had this semester. We conduct resume workshops, and we host networking events. On the right-hand side, that link is to our career services page on the nursing website. We have a job board, which is mainly targeted to part-time jobs that are available. So community members will reach out to post if they need nurses' aides or caregivers, and we'll post those there. So you'll be able to go on there and connect with those community members directly. We have a career services blog where we post a lot of other job postings we get, mainly the full-time ones and the residency programs. And we haven't updated it yet for our spring events, but when we do, it'll be on this page as well. And we have employer information sessions, as I mentioned before. And then here's our contact information. I'll also drop my email into the chat once I'm done. But as Bianca said, let me stop share. We're here to help you guys navigate the job search. I know there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes there's conflicting information depending on who you talk to within a hospital system. We're here to help you navigate that and kind of straighten everything out. So feel free to ask me any questions you have as we go through the panel. You guys are so passionate about nursing, and the recruiters love that. And they're excited to see that when they interview you, and excited to see your experiences and how you're connecting it with nursing and how you're bringing those together to become nurses to serve communities.
Awesome, thank you so much. And I've heard wonderful, wonderful things from Career Services, and from my own experience, they're incredibly helpful. So definitely utilize their work and resources. It can help you so much. So now we're going to get started with the panel. I have a few questions that I can ask, but if you guys have any questions, drop it in the chat and I'll make sure to ask them, or ask the panel for you, okay? So just type them out and then we'll make sure to get all of your questions answered. So the first thing I'd like the panel to do is introduce yourself, say what program you're in and whether or not you're doing full-time or part-time school, and then tell us where you're working and if you're working full-time, part-time, or PRN, and kind of just a little gist of where you're at. And we'll go ahead and start with Belinda, if you don't mind.
Hey, yeah, definitely. So I'm in the CNS track and I am doing that full time. Right now I am working at the School of Nursing Family Wellness Clinic 1 day a week. So definitely part-time, but that gives me the absolute best balance that in my life that I really need. The CNS program can be a little demanding, and I like being able just to go in and work 1 day a week. And then, of course, I'm in the ANGS officer, so that's another, another commitment I have on my time. So the Family Wellness Clinic, it's the School of Nursing runs that, and it's a nonprofit clinic, and it's nurse run, and so it's NPs, and then we have a CNS there as well, and it's a really wonderful environment. I know there's another classmate here that is at the children's one, but it's really, really wonderful. If y'all have any other detailed questions about it, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. Angie, could you go next?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Angie Spears. I'm in the PEDS track, and I'm going full-time plus right now because I am in all the assigned courses, and then I'm taking my elective right now. So I'm in Race, Power, and Privilege with Dr. Sumter. Amazing class if anyone's interested in it, if it gets offered again for an elective. So I have 15 credit hours right now. I currently work at Mirabel Achievement Center, which the foundation year people, a lot of you will do your psych rotation there. And I'm technically PRN, but I work what's considered part-time. I usually work 3 times a week, which comes out to be about 30 hours a week. So.
Thank you so much. And Esther, we'll have you go next.
Hi, y'all. I'm Esther. I am in full-time school, and I'm graduating in December. I'm on the leads track. Thanks, y'all. It's been a long road up till now. I also want to plug the fact that Mira helped me with my resume specifically, and helped me get this job that I have. So I work at an independent abortion clinic 1 day a week, and I'm also, as probably everyone here knows, a TA at the Skills and Simulation Center.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then Tim, we'll have you go next.
Hi all, I'm Tim. I'm a lead student doing that full time. And then I'm doing a residency program with Dell Children's in the emergency room. And so I'm doing that full time as well. And Mira also helped me with my resume. She was super, super helpful. Also just very calming presence in a very stressful time when you're going through all the job application stuff.
Thank you so much. And Ellen, would you like to go next?
I actually don't think I'm on the panel, but I am the one. I am doing full-time leads, full-time mom, and I'm also working a day a week at the Children's Wellness Center, which is the sister clinic where Belinda is working, and I love it. So that's me.
Thanks. If you don't want to speak on the panel, Ellen, let me know, but otherwise, I bet you have a lot of good things to say. So I'd like to start off by having you guys give us some advice on and some insight on what it's like to work as a student and how you balance your work at academic, social life. And if you guys remember the order that we did, the first introduction to, we'll follow that order, and I can help along too if there's any gaps or anything like that.
Sure, I'll go first. I guess my best advice, I was going to tell a story from over the summer. Bianca had asked me about that. So my plan going into this fall semester was that I was going to, pass the NCLEX by a certain date and then start working at a rehab place, get trained up, and then be ready to only work 1 day a week during the fall semester. That was my grand plan. And I started working at a rehab long-term care place over the summer, and it turned out to not be a very good situation. And so I just wanted to put it out there that, one, money is not everything. So even if a place is going to pay you exactly what you ask for when you thought that you were already asking for a lot, that does not mean you need to stay in a bad situation. And if you are at a place who is telling you to falsify your charting, absolutely do not stay in that place. There is nothing in the world that is worth risking your license like that. So I worked there about 8 days, or I guess I could say I survived there about 8 days, and left. And so if you find yourself, my advice is if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, do not hesitate to reach out to your faculty. Dr. Horton and Dr. Lynn were both incredibly helpful to me in that time. They want you to succeed and they want you to do well, and they will give you such good advice. Dr. Horton was amazing. Both of them are. So yeah, so I ended up leaving there, and I was really lost for a little bit, because I had this goal and my plan. And then this opportunity presented itself at the School of Nursing Family Wellness Clinic. And it has been just the best thing to happen. It is just such an encouraging environment to work with, CNSs, NPs, where it's very uplifting, everyone's encouraging. So don't stay in the wrong place, I guess is my best advice. Reach out to your professors, and if something feels wrong, like if someone's telling you to chart clear breath sounds and you didn't actually listen to that, do not do it, because there are good opportunities out there.
Thank you so much. Angie, do you have any advice?
Well, about life or about getting a job? Just kidding. I know that it's about getting a job. Yeah, I'd say, I think find what you need for balance. I know a lot of my friends that went into residencies ended up being really overwhelmed and either are looking at leaving them or going down to part-time. I held strong and said that I wasn't going to apply to places until I got my license, which is what I did. I didn't apply to anything that way, like as far as residencies, just because of I have 4 kids, and so it's a lot. And so I waited till I had my license, and then I applied to places. And if you get a lot of rejections, I did. I literally would joke with my friends like, oh, I sent out 10 resumes last night, and by 9 a.m. I'd wake up and I'd have 10 rejections back, because it is a little hard when you have no experience. But then all it took was for one place to call me and interview me, and then I got the job. Yay. So yeah, don't get discouraged if you get rejection letters. Everybody does. Like that's the way it goes. And you will get something.
Esther, what advice do you have on working as a student?
So my advice is going to be around maintaining that balance once you have that job. Spreadsheets. My first semester, I had no idea how to keep track of my hours. I had no idea like what I was supposed to be doing. I kind of got thrown into the TA thing like a week and a half into the semester, and I like got trained kind of haphazardly, and it was a bit of a nightmare for me. I also didn't reach out for help when I needed it. And thankfully, my faculty that I was working with were really understanding, and they were, really wonderful. But like, keep track of your hours. If you have a practicum course which you will, if you're in Leads or CNS, you're going to have courses where you have to fulfill a certain number of hours in a practicum in your master's portion, and you're going to have to keep track of those hours on your own. Spreadsheets are your best friend, and map out beforehand, like, how many hours am I going to spend studying? Like, realistically, how many hours a week do I want to spend with my friends? Like, how many hours a week do I need to sleep? Like, it's really hard to like find that balance, but you gotta be realistic with your time. And if it's not matching up to where, you know, I can fit another, like when I was doing the calculus of like, okay, can I take on a second part-time job? I had to break out the spreadsheets because I was like, I really don't know if I have time for this. And it turned out that I did. Part of my saving grace was actually the pandemic and everything going online, because I was better able to manage my time when it was just me at home, and not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. But yeah, spreadsheets are your friend.
Thank you. And then Tim, if you could share some tips on what it's like to work as a student. And we also have a question for you on applying for a specific job in critical care or ICU and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so first I just want to piggyback off what Astor was saying. And for my school, I have one Word document that has everything for the semester that's due with the dates. And I literally like cross off every single time, because for me, school has definitely become kind of like on the back burner. And school is something I do 2 days a week. And then I work 3, depending on how many classes I have for residency, up to 5 days a week. And then I take 1 day a week where like that is my day with friends. And so school I'm only doing on those times when it's like I have class now and I do not have any work today. And so I definitely think that you need to figure out that balance and also figure out kind of priorities. And I know a lot of that happens during foundation years. You're like, well, do I really care about getting an A? But honestly, this year it's like, do you really care about getting an A? Just because you have so many things to juggle, and at the end of the day, like it's your learning that matters, it's what you're doing that matters, and it's not really how you're being evaluated that matters as much, especially when you're actually taking care of people, in my opinion. And then to go to the questions, I just want to read it. As far as looking for specific jobs, something I would recommend, which I don't know if it's as possible right now, is if you can, if you know a job that you want, try to get a job right now in that hospital working as a tech. Because once you're in a hospital system, it's a lot easier to move around. It's a lot easier, as long as you're doing a good job and people respect you, it's a lot easier to get where you want to be. And then another thing that Professor Otto told me is, she said, like, hold out for the job you want, which I think is both good advice and bad advice. Because if you have an in already, it's possible. And I know when I interviewed for the job I interviewed for, they looked at it as a positive that I didn't submit my resume to a bunch of residencies, because they can see, if you're in one hospital system, they can see every single residency that you apply for. And if you're applying for everything, they might look at you and say, do you really want to work in ICU, or is it just that you want a job and you don't want to work on the floor? And so they really appreciate that. But at the same time, like your first year, I think I got very lucky getting the job I wanted. But I know that, especially if you're not already working at that place, it's not always super easy to get an in, especially in some of these more acute units. I'm sorry, that I don't know if that's super helpful.
I think so. Thank you. And then Ellen, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I chose the path of kind of focusing on my kids, and I had that privilege this year. So just so I think the question comes up, how hard is the school this year compared to foundation year? And it is significantly easier, as you can tell. Everyone is able to juggle so much. It's quite a bit easier than foundation year. If you can survive foundation year, you're good to go.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think to piggyback on that, saying that foundation year I think was so difficult because we're thrown into this new world of school and clinicals, and it's figuring out a lot of things, but as soon as you move on to the master's part, you have all that figured out. You've done school for a year, and I feel personally figuring out that balance was the hard part. So now it's just doing school. And then we also have questions on what it's like looking for jobs and how we start the process of applying for jobs. So if anyone has anything to add, I'll let y'all just jump in and kind of answer as you feel inspired.
I can go. One, I wanted to say, you guys, in my opinion, are at the absolute worst part of foundation year, which is the middle of fall. Is really hard in this Zoom is my friend Tim, who literally listened to me say like every day, like, I am quitting this program. I'm done at Christmas break. And every day he was like, we're going to make it. We're going to do it. So he literally like kept me in because I was really feeling frustrated at this point. So don't worry, once you get through fall, it gets so much better. But in spring, they start really recruiting. You're going to get a lot of like hospitals trying to recruit you, and like putting your resume together and getting ready to apply for jobs becomes like a really big part of spring. So it's not just like you doing it on your own. And then from there, it's like getting ready for NCLEX, taking NCLEX, and then you should have your resume already together because you actually do that in Dr. Keel's class. So that's taken care of, which is really nice because it's an assignment. So you will have your resume ready. She'll have already like graded you, critiqued you, told you what to take out, put in. And so all that stuff is a help. And then you go through, I think, interviewing, all that stuff in that class.
Also, I want to piggyback off Angela or Angie. Sorry, I don't know why I called you Angela there, but
Because my name, it says Angela on my name thing probably.
Foundation year is so stressful, especially the fall. And like right now, I'm sure that you're really stressed about the idea of having a job, but also you're so stressed about like, I just tried to put an IV in somebody and like stabbed it through their arm, and there's so much going on. And I feel like you don't need to worry about jobs until you finally get that break in December. But once you do get that break in December, if there's a job you want or a place you want to work, I would recommend taking that time to do your resume then, to start looking over stuff. Even though you feel like, I barely like can take care of one adult patient right now, how am I gonna even apply for nursing jobs? I think the first career fair is in February. And I know a lot of people that I talked to ended up getting their jobs. If you wanted to do a residency in a hospital, a lot of people got their jobs at a career fair, myself included.
I wanted to add that I know we're going to be virtual this year for the career fair, but we are going to bring more opportunities to connect with the employers one-on-one instead of having that big career fair where you're like there's 5 people talking to one employer at the same time. We're really wanting to allow you guys to build those relationships with the recruiters one-on-one versus having 5 of you talk to one recruiter at a time. And I was going to say, I know Baylor Scott & White, I know they're one of the ones that are kind of hit or miss, but they do have tech positions posted in the area. So if you are looking for a patient care tech position, they do have some posted.
So Kathleen asked about working at a smaller clinic, and I can't, aside from the Children's Wellness Clinic, I do know that when you go look for those jobs that aren't on the mainstream, like the hospitals, people got them by just doing a lot more work. I know someone she really wanted to work peds, and I hear what she did is she just went and found all the peds and just sent a resume and applied to every single one, and she did get a position. So it just takes a little bit more work, I believe.
I think for me, again, the career fair was helpful, but also, what's helped me is working with your professors. Your professors are a huge resource when it comes to knowing really good quality places to work at. And they can give you, depending on what you want to go into, they can tell you what would be a good place to apply at so that you don't end up having a really terrible experience. And for where I'm at right now, I was shadowing my assessment professor at the clinic on Fridays, and she was the one who put in a word for me with the director of the clinic. And so that's how I got the opportunity where I am now. So, you know, work with your professors, make a good impression, and network. But that's a really good way to get a job as well.
We got a question about applying early to jobs before you get your license. And yes, many, many people do that, and they get job offers before they have their RN. And I believe some start training even before they take the NCLEX. That wasn't my experience, so if anyone has anything to add to that, feel free to. But I know lots of people had jobs lined up, and then they just had to pass the NCLEX by a certain day, and they would have the residency available to them. And then we also had a question about anyone working nights. I don't know if anyone on our panel works nights, but I have a couple friends that worked nights for a few months. And from their experience, from what they shared with me, they loved it. They thought it was so much fun. The bond that they made, they were in residency programs at Ascension Seton on the ortho unit, and all the nurses got along really well. It's not super, super busy, so it's easing into the workflow because night shift, you give medications, but a lot of the times the patients are sleeping, so the workflow isn't as bad. So they really enjoyed it, but then we could tell over time they were kind of breaking down and getting sick more often. Their body wasn't treating them as well, and really tired, getting headaches and that sort of thing. And now that they've shifted to day shift, their health is improving. And so they enjoyed nights for the job aspect and learning, because they were new nurses, and so I think it eased them into the workflow of a day shift that can get pretty hectic. But it's not super good for your health, especially while we're in school, because they'd have to wake up super early for class. So if that's helpful, there's pros and cons to day shift and night shift. So I just wanted to add that in there. And then Mira, how can someone schedule time with you to help on a resume?
Yeah, so if you want to send me an email, I'll be happy to, we'll work out a time that works for both of us, and you can send me your resume at that same time. So I can review it before our meeting, and then we can kind of go through line by line and see what we can do to make it stronger. And essentially take your experience that you had, take your resume that you applied to the program with, and transition it to a nursing resume.
Thank you so much. And then Angela, do you know anything about residencies in psych, or know anything about Seton Shoal Creek?
So, so the one thing about psych, if you have a specific interest working in psych, whether that's, I'm in PD psych, but there's also a lot of adult psych jobs, is that they generally, most of them don't have residencies. Some of them do. If you get on with Dell Children's in their psych unit, they do have a residency. But a lot of them, you just have to get your RN and then you apply and then they train you and you start working. So I didn't do a residency, and we joke that like half of UT works at Miradell because they literally hired like 15 people out of our cohort. So we all like work together. So, which is really nice, but not nice for my work, because they are like always like, hey, can someone take this shift? And we're all like, no, we have class. So that's kind of a bummer for them, but some of us are in different programs, which helps too. But yeah, a lot of psych, if you're interested in that, actually doesn't do residencies. So that's just like kind of one difference. And we do at Miradell, we do technically 8-hour shifts. They end up being more like 9-10, but just with shift change and everything. But we don't do 12-hour shifts. We do like a day shift, an evening shift, and then a night shift.
And that's pretty common across psych settings. I know my friend who works at ASH also has, she does 8-hour shifts, and it's a lot easier on her and a lot more flexible. Her schedule's a lot more flexible than my other friends who are doing residencies. And she's been able to, like, when school ramps up really hardcore, like, she can cut her shifts down a little more and like focus on school. And she's been able to stay full-time and also work full-time. And it's been a little more flexible for her in the psych setting outside of her residency program. So she's liked that a lot.
Also, kind of with what Aster was saying, make sure that you're upfront with the fact that you do have school, because employers that hire you, if you're not upfront about that, they probably won't have any space for you doing school. But if you are upfront, they're open to it. And I know specifically my educator has been really great about, we start on days, then we go to mids, then we go to nights. And she's arranged it so that I start nights next week. And when I start, I don't have any work the day before or any day that I have class. And it was something that, like, from the beginning, I was very honest with them. And I said, I have school, like, I'm real willing to work with you. I'll work nights, I'll work weekends, but I just can't work these days.
Honestly, around the night shift, the whole night shift thing, there were a couple people in my cohort who, like, at the very beginning of the master's year were on the struggle bus because, you know, they would come in for advanced patho and it'd be like 9 in the morning and they're still in their scrubs. And I'd be like, do you have body fluids on you? Are you okay? Did you just come from night shift? Like, you got off work at like 7:45, didn't you? And they're like, I'm fine, I have coffee. And I was like, you need to sleep. And those people had a rough time and they're fine now. They're okay. Like, they survived and everything, but like a couple people had to drop classes and that was rough because, like, tuition didn't necessarily get refunded because it was halfway through the semester. And so I think, you know, make sure that you're being reasonable about what you take on. And, you know, like for me, night shift was not an option during grad school because I have chronic migraines and sleep is my biggest trigger. So I was like, I can't do night shift and be in grad school during the day. If I'm going to do night shift, I'm going to be all at night. You know, night shift is for after graduation for me, and that's my boundary, you know? So I just knew that about myself and acted accordingly. Some people function great with like erratic sleep schedules, and that's fine. But I'm a big believer in prioritizing sleep. Yeah.
I also wanted to add on to advocating for yourself as a student and saying, I have classes on these days, I can't work these days, and just being upfront about that. I also want to remind you guys to advocate for yourselves as AE students. There are some situations where clinics, mostly in some hospitals, have a lot of pushback on AE students and say they only want BSN nurses. But we are just as prepared, if not more so, because we have life experience. And so being honest about, I've earned my nursing license and I am very capable and I can do this job. I have heard some stories from friends of mine that were like given the job and then later told they couldn't have it because they're an AE student, which is frustrating to hear. So just being honest about it, and you know, if they don't want AE students, maybe they don't deserve you, but being an advocate for yourself just as much as you're an advocate for your patients. You have to, similar to anyone that's in the CNS program, sometimes people have a hard time hiring other CNSs, and so we have to advocate for what is within our scope of practice as a CNS and versus a nurse practitioner. Because I've heard stories of CNSs applying for NP jobs and having to explain that they're capable in order to get the job. So I just want to put that out there as well in case you get some pushback, that you're prepared for that.
And one thing to piggyback off Bianca real quick, if you do get pushback, let me or Allison know, because we can go, sometimes the recruiter that does do that pushback may not be familiar with the program, doesn't know what's going on. And not to say we go above their heads, but we do. We will go above their heads to educate them and make sure things are streamlined. Because advocating for yourself is also good, and we can also help with that to make sure everyone knows what's going on.
Also, when you say you're a AE student, say you're a UT AE student, because UT surprisingly carries like a lot of credit around here as far as its nursing programs.
Does anyone have any information to answer the question about transferring to med-surg or a technical job from psych?
I can answer just because I heard the same thing a lot too. But basically that's the only place I got offered a job. So like, well, I want to make money. So, but I think like any experience, and then if a place is willing to hire you and train, or you're willing to take a fellowship, because like a friend of mine at work who's worked there 2.5 years decided she wanted to leave psych, and that's all she's ever worked in. And the first job she applied to was at cardiology, and she got hired, and they just said they would train her because she's already an experienced nurse. So I think that I don't necessarily know that that's a myth. I just think but I also have heard the same thing, like if you work in labor and delivery, then you want to go in ICU, it's hard to transfer. So I think like it's fine. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of, I think Aster can speak to it too. I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, it's a myth. Honestly, you're not going to pigeonhole yourself. Don't worry about pigeonholing yourself with your first nursing job. One of my coworkers at the clinic worked in psych for like 4 or 5 years, and then worked in like I think med surg for a little while, and now she's working at this outpatient clinic. Like you can go, and then another one of my coworkers worked in cardiology for ages, and now she's in women's health. Like there's so much mobility in nursing. Like your nursing license can take you literally anywhere you want it to. Do not be afraid. You can spin your experience however you need to. It is all about like your cover letter and making your experiences fit the job that you want. So like for me, I've been thinking after this clinic gig, I'm probably going to apply to ICU positions after I do this for a while. And I'm going to talk about how I titrated sedation. I monitored patients who were sedated, for their respiratory rate and effort. And I, used like sedation scales. That's relevant to ICU, right? Am I doing critical care? No, but I need ACLS certification for my position. So like you can get those certifications and it's all about the spin. Y'all are master's prepared nurses. You're gonna knock it out of the park.
Just to follow on to Aster, don't forget that psych, I think Professor Otto, didn't she start in psych and then she ended up in ED? Like we're seeing psych patients everywhere. Like it's becoming more something you need to deal with in mental health, definitely something you deal with in ED. So I feel like psych background is an excellent background for everything.
Yeah, I think it was Danica Sumter who said in my child health course way back when, all nursing is psych nursing. You will never have a patient who doesn't have psychology. Even your, sedated, ventilated patient can still probably hear you. Like, they're still probably thinking something on some level, and you need to take care of them. So psych experience is great experience for anywhere you go. The rest of it, like you have the credentials, you have that RN, you're gonna be fine.
Awesome. And then we got questions about applying for a TA. So Aster and I can speak on that. We were kind of oddballs where usually TAs in the past wouldn't be hired unless they had 6 months of RN experience prior. But Aster and I got hired on immediately after our foundation year. And that's something that Dr. Goldstein, who works she's like the head boss of Skills Lab and everything, she's interested in hiring on more foundation year nurses. And so we're kind of like the guinea pigs to see if it was possible. but I know some other people in my cohort that got the job because if you read Tracy's emails, I always make the joke, she has so many emails and a lot of people skim over them, but some of them have really good information. And she sent out lots of emails for hiring AE students to be TAs. And so I think Astor and I were invited personally, but there are job openings and I think they're more open to hiring foundation year students. And so just keep an eye out for Tracy's emails or contact Dr. Goldstein directly, and she'll be more than happy to hire more TAs. I know that they are kind of, sometimes they're scrapping for TAs, but I'm really enjoying it to give you some insight and answer some of these questions. It's more fulfilling than I expected. I kind of expected to just, work and whatever, but I have students come to me and say that I ended up being very helpful. And so it makes my heart really happy. And so it's been really rewarding to be like, okay, I can help somebody, like I'm not pointless. No, but some of the benefits we get, what do we call it? Healthcare. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word, but we, health insurance. We get health insurance through the school, which is really nice. As a full-time TA myself, I get full tuition covered. If you go part-time, you get part of your tuition covered, and we also get a stipend. And so I get paid just once a month. So I kind of have to budget for the month, which is different. Some people get paid every other week or maybe every week. So that's a little bit different, but it's definitely worth it to help cover school. It's nice to have my own health insurance now. And then and so I want to also share that I'm not working with clients right now. And it's been like an internal struggle of like, I'm not a real nurse, but I am licensed. And that's something I have to remind myself of. But knowing that, even as a TA, like we are, yes, thank you, Esther, we're capable. And it's been helpful because, the foundation year was so fast, but I'm learning all the skills over again, and I'm learning it well enough to teach other people, and teaching helps me learn. And so if anything, I get school twice. And so it's been kind of nice to reconfirm everything and practice all those skills. And I'll let Esther speak on her experience as a TA as well.
Yeah, as all of you who have worked with me probably already know, I really love it. I am pretty passionate about teaching, and yeah, it's a great experience, especially if you're on the leads track and you want to do the teaching series. It is really invaluable experience, honestly. I just talked to Scott in the Skills Lab, who is one of the supervisors, and I asked him, like, so I'm about to be on this panel, what should I tell them? Are you gonna hire AEs next year again? And he said, yeah, y'all seem to be working out really well, and there's, a larger pool now, like, we love the AEs that we have. So like, I think, we'll be hiring like fresh AEs next year as well. So definitely, like Bianca said, look out for the emails from Tracy. So I also TA for Dr. Ogier for their genetics class. And that is really fun too, outside of the skills lab. And somebody's gonna need to take over PAC for adult health when I leave. I don't know who that'll be, we'll see. That's real sad. It's fine. I'm not getting emotional on this panel. Yay, Erin. Yeah, so, oh gosh, I'm gonna miss you guys so much. It's fine. But anyway, yeah, I love it. There are also like graduate student, what is it? Like GRA positions, like, yeah, like basically there are TA positions that you can get outside of the School of Nursing, and Tracy will send out emails for those too. Some of them are 20 hours for just one course, which is kind of bananas to me. But you could do work for just one professor in like the School of Pharmacy or something and get health insurance, which is really awesome. So there are plenty of opportunities within the UT system as well. And the UT health insurance is sweet. It is really nice. I get dental too. I pay a little bit extra for dental, and it's really nice. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I love working with students. Oh, you also get to see like how the undergrads learn. That's been really interesting to me. Getting more involved with like the undergrad programs and seeing like the differences between our programs. So that was something that was really interesting as well. And getting to know professors a little better. I feel like it's given me it's made me feel a lot more connected to the school in general. And it's been kind of a jumping off point for me because I want to eventually be a clinical instructor. And so I'm like, okay, now I have this TA experience. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm so scattered. A lot of places do not count TA experience toward your like however long as an RN. So if you wanted to do a TA position while you're still in grad school, I think St. David's and Seton, as far as I know, I've talked to recruiters. From what I've heard from the recruiters, they have said to me, oh yeah, we don't count the TA experience as RN experience. And so if you wanted to do a residency when you graduate, as opposed to just when you get your RN, you could still do that and be a TA while you are in graduate school in your master's portion. So that is a cool option as well.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to quickly answer Ashley's question about working as a TA before you get your RN. I believe Aster started working after she had her license, but I started getting training about a month before I took my NCLEX, and I don't know if I would recommend that. I was taking a summer class, I was working, and I was studying for the NCLEX. It worked out. I ended up passing on the first try, but it was definitely very hectic on the terms of the Excel. I had like my schedule like lined up. On this day I'm doing this, on this day I'm studying, on this day I'm working. But so if I don't know how they're going to do it next year because it's going to be a little bit different, but I did start getting training early on in the summer so I could kind of shadow Sukja, that's the master TA. She's been around for a while. And so that was really cool to get to know her and kind of ease into it. Okay, so we're finishing off. I would like anyone on the panel who has anything extra to say or any tips or advice that you'd like to add to please do that. And then afterwards, we'll announce our raffle winners. So thank you everybody for being here. Does anyone recommend working over the summer, starting in the fall?
I would recommend if you're trying to do a residency. I don't know people who have started in the fall, but I would highly recommend doing it over the summer because you basically have to relearn everything you learned over foundation year and much more so. And then depending on what unit you're working on, you might have certifications you have to get and other classes you have to take, and that's a lot heavier towards the beginning. So if you can do it over the summer when you don't have anything else going on, it makes life a little easier in the fall.
And one thing to add to what Tim said is that not that it's any easier, but working your schedule will be easier on you over the summer. That way you get a lot of the orientation out of the way before classes start up in the fall, and you have a little more control over your schedule to balance it with classes.
I would agree. I was going to say that was my goal, and I started the orientation at that one facility in the summer, and I was going to be done with that and then just working 1 day a week. But since I didn't stay there, I still found something this fall. So even if you don't, I would recommend finding something in the summer, but even if you don't, and even if you wait until the fall, it might be a little bit harder, but you can still do it.
And then a tip that I would like to share with you guys as well is to know that we're all on our own timeline and to learn from your peers, but don't directly compare yourself to them because everyone's doing something a little bit different, and we're all going to be nurses and we're all going to be successful in what we do because we're so passionate, and there's no way we can love what we do so much and not be successful. So it's easy to feel down when other people are doing things that you wanted and maybe you didn't get there right away. We're all on different paths and journeys, and so we're all going to get there. It's going to work out, and you have so much support through the school, through career services, and your peers. Lean on each other. It's a crazy time, but we're all going to help each other out because we're all going to get there and do really well. If you guys don't have any last minute tips, I'll go ahead and share our raffle winners. Does anyone have anything else to share?
Get plenty of sleep, drink a lot of water, love yourself. Remember that I love you.
And don't compromise your ethics. Don't do anything that would risk your license. You worked your butt off for that. You worked way too hard. Do not work somewhere that is telling you to falsify anything.
I believe their NCLEX pass rate was really high. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I know it was like pretty close to 100, if not 100.
I'm getting a question about the raffle. Does anyone who's in the meeting that's like a foundation year get put in for the raffle?
Would you like to? Some of it's textbooks and pen lights and
No, not me. I'm talking about, I'm just making sure all the foundation year people. My mentee is in the meeting. I recruited him to come since I was talking on the panel, and he's like, "What's the raffle?"
Yeah, so let's go ahead and
For
announce it.
him.
I have my winners here. So we have different things, but some people don't need some of the things we offer. So I'm gonna do like first come, first serve. You get to choose what you win. But we have on the raffle, I believe, pen lights if you want your very own pen light. We also have bandage scissors that are really awesome. You can like autoclave them. And we also have a drug guide book. And then I have textbooks from last year, and if you guys want those and don't already have them. So we have the fundamentals of nursing, we have the nursing diagnosis handbook, and then we have the med surg nursing. This one's the heavy one. So we have 4 winners, and then I'll do in order from top to bottom. You get to pick what you want, and then we can meet up on Friday to hand out the raffle. So we have Ashley Philpo, you're our first winner, and then we have Julie Welsh, congratulations, Lauren McGettrick, and Carlos Hernandez. I'm going to send my email in the chat, and so if you guys could email me, we can organize when we're going to meet up, and you can pick up your raffle prizes. Congratulations. And I'll keep the meeting open for a little bit longer if anyone has any last thing to say or to ask, but otherwise, this is the end of our panel. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you got something from this.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording now.